Hello and welcome to our viewers here in Nigeria, the continent, and all around the world. This is Newsroom series where we bring you stories from across Nigeria, but our spotlight today is on the Northeast region. And just before we get things started, let's begin with our lead story this hour. News just in that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is asking the public to disregard reports on the death of its chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. A statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC chairman, Rotimi Oyekomi, on Saturday says Professor Yakubu is alive, hale and hearty. The clarification was necessitated following reports that the INEC chairman had died in a London hospital. The statement asked that the commission would continue to work with genuine media professionals to combat the scourge of fake news and the danger it poses to the society. All right, so that's our lead story this hour. Will bring you up to speed as developments unfold. But let's get to talk stories from the Northeast region now. Powishi, a farming community in Kalmai ward of Biliri, local government area of Gombe State, has come under heavy attack in the early hours of Thursday by unknown persons on motorbikes, suspected to be herders. According to eyewitness accounts, the attackers, who are still at large, armed themselves to the teeth and stormed the village by past midnight, setting their houses and freshly harvested food crops on fire, rustling away cows, leaving at least 2 persons dead and scores of house owners displaced. According to multiple sources inside the village, the attack may not be unconnected with a misunderstanding between a cattle rearer and some farmers in the village.
This is Powishi village, a farming community in Biliri local government area of Gombe State, reeling from heavy attacks unleashed by yet-to-be-identified persons who stormed the village on motorbikes in the early hours of Thursday. The aftermath is evident across the community as victims count their losses and lament the spate of recurring attacks on farming settlements in the area.
I'm here staying in Kalmai, where the bandits come exactly by 1 o'clock at the evening. They find us at the farm. We are doing the work of the farm, and they start fighting with us. They just put their cows in order to destroy what we are harvesting. Then we talk to them, and they start fighting us.
In fact, our problem is not food. The life that we are losing. Many women are coming widows. Many children are coming orphaned. It's not good. It's not supposed to be done that way. Our problem is no food because we are capable to go to farm.
With security operatives deployed to Powishi to maintain law and order and forestall reprisal attacks, Good Samaritans across party lines are clicking together to bring succor to a community that has come face to face with terror. For Rambi Ayala, a former representative of this constituency at the Gombe State House of Assembly, more needs to be done to stop the violence.
So I think that government needs to put more stiffer measures. There should be beyond, there has been call over and again to set up security outposts, especially at this point in time, in some of these flashpoint areas. There should be permanent security outposts here so that they will not just be reactive, they will be proactive in stemming the tide of whoever the people. And these people, sometimes this happens, no arrests, no prosecution, that will simply embolden whoever is perpetrating this to keep on doing.
The member representing Biliri Balanga Federal Constituency, who doubles as minority whip in the House of Representatives, also visits Powishi to see the scale of the devastation. He comes bearing relief materials to support the victims as he reiterates that the scale of support is beyond a few individuals.
I want to use this medium to call on the federal government and the state government to partner and get lasting solution to this problem. And also, let me use the medium to call on the security agents to see whatever they can do in identifying the criminals that perpetrated this act. Every human being that kills someone is a criminal and should be dealt with as a criminal.
Also, the member representing Biliri East in the Gombe State House of Assembly echoes his thoughts as he promises to move motions that will rally support for the people.
I think I've spoken with the Honorable Speaker and I told him all about it. And the first thing that we are supposed to do, we will write to NEMA, SEMA and the Northeast Development Agency to quickly intervene and bring relief to those affected ones.
As more lawmakers at the state and federal levels close ranks to galvanize support for victims of Powishi village, their constituents call for proactive measures to stem the attacks on the farming communities, which have continued for years.
To underscore the validity of the maxim that says prevention is better than cure, the Gombe State Office of the National Emergency Management Agency, in its desire to have a disaster-free Nigeria, is equipping critical segments of the society with fighting skills. NEMA has collaborated with the State Fire Service to provide practical lectures and hands-on firefighting techniques to NYSC corps members, volunteers, and religious aid groups. These skills, the agency believes, will save lives as well as government funds from unnecessary and avoidable expenditure in replacing valuables lost to fire outbreaks. To other stories now, the Presidential Committee on Flood Relief has donated items worth 1 billion naira to the Borno State government to be distributed to victims of the September flood disaster. Items including food and non-food materials were handed to the Borno State government as part of the contributions to address short-term challenges for victims of the disaster. The Secretary of the Presidential Committee on Flood Relief handed the items to the state government at the NEMA warehouse in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital.
It's been 3 months already when flood ravaged Maiduguri and Jere local government areas of Borno State. Families, organizations and businesses were affected in the flood. Nevertheless, relief materials are coming their way, and this time is from the Presidential Committee on Flood Relief.
This gesture demonstrates the unwavering commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to the welfare of the Nigerian people, especially in times of crisis. The items we are receiving today will go a long way in providing immediate relief to the victims of this disaster. Food and non-food items will ensure that affected families have access to basic sustenance.
The donations are made to the National Emergency Management Agency, who promised to monitor the distribution while appreciating the gesture of the committee.
When the 2024 flooding started, NEMA sought for assistance from the committee as usual, and they promised to assist. And when we got the assistance, coincidentally, it came when the Alo dams collapsed. So the substantial part of their assistance actually was directed to alleviate the sufferance of the people who suffered the flood from the collapse of Alo Dam in Maiduguri.
Established in 2012, the Presidential Committee is a partnership between the federal government and philanthropic individuals to provide succor to victims of disaster.
The committee was mandated to work for 1 year, but because one of our chairmen has this passion for assistance and philanthropy, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, we were supposed to have wrapped up by 2012 or latest early 2013. But because some funds were raised, he decided to have them invested in treasury bills at the central bank, and any little profit that comes up is being utilized to assist anytime there is need to do that.
Apart from the items donated, the committee pledges continued support to survivors of natural and humanitarian disasters as part of private sector corporate social responsibilities.
In the meantime, the National Orientation Agency in Adamawa State, as part of its campaign to reinforcing into the consciousness of Nigerians values that will bring about development and can cause growth. The dimensions under the considerations are 5 key areas that have national importance, which include the get-rich-quick syndrome, the role of the people in tackling insecurity and human rights, among other issues. This event, holding in Yola, the Adamawa State capital, was put together by the National Orientation Agency and engaging stakeholders ahead of the massive campaigns that will develop national interest. The acting state director, National Orientation Agency, Adamawa State, highlights some of the issues on the front burner. It is expected that this campaign by the National Orientation Agency will provide solutions to these national discourse that will promote values by the people.
The dimension we are considering are about 5 key areas that have national importance. And the first one is on the HIV/AIDS, where we want to elaborate to the citizenry the efforts government have been doing and how we want people to key into this process so that at least the fight for HIV and AIDS will be successful. The second one is on security awareness. You know, security is very fundamental in every nation's existence. And government alone cannot handle it until the citizens give the necessary cooperation. So our campaign is to inform the people to see the reason why they should assist government in ensuring that our environment is secured. When the citizens participate actively, then at least we'll begin to see things happening positively. And again, this issue of a negative phenomenon that has to do with get-rich-quick syndrome. People should be hardworking. People should ensure that they live a lifestyle that has an integrity. People should ensure that at least they do things that will earn them legitimate earnings, not taking the other side of shortcuts to access wealth that is not legitimate.
You're watching Newsroom series and we are due for a break, but when we come back, we'll bring you other stories now. The Federal Ministry of Youth Development has resolved to promote youth inclusiveness and participation in governance and leadership. That's in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks indeed for staying with us. The federal government, under its agency, the National Directorate of Employment, NDE, has flagged off renewed hope employments for residents of Yobe State, cutting across different businesses and skills. The flag-off was held in Damaturu, the state capital, as part of the nationwide jobs initiative embarked on by the National Directorates of the Employment, where over 90,000 beneficiaries are undergoing a 3-month training program, after which they would be given starter packs and cash donations.
These are successful applicants from Yobe State, northeast Nigeria, selected to acquire vocational skills under the Renewed Hope Employment Initiative of the National Directorate of Employment. They are part of the 93,000 beneficiaries to benefit from the training, which would last 3 months, after which they would receive equipment and cash to start their businesses.
This training is dealing with all Nigerians, the disabled, the retirees, the school leavers, dropouts, and everybody is included in this training. And this time around, the training is not, the registration is not manual. It's online registration. In Yobe State, we are targeting 1,701 candidates in the whole departments, whole program departments. That's vocational skills development, special people's works, their public works, special public works, SSE, and then agric, that's REP.
Elsewhere, a humanitarian group supported by Action Health Incorporated has handed over 3 safe space centers for women and girls to the Yobe State government in Gujba, Gaidam and Fune local government areas. The centers offer safe environments to empower women and girls who had suffered from insurgency so they can come back stronger and in a better place mentally than they were as victims.
We have not tried to work with the easiest to reach groups. Rather, we have worked with the most marginalized, the most vulnerable, and those who need access to care. This particular center that we're opening, that's been commissioned by the Honorable Commissioner this morning/afternoon, is not the only one. There are 3 women and girls safe spaces that are being commissioned today.
This space is more than just walls. It is a refuge of safety, hope and empowerment. It will provide vital support for survivors of violence, opportunities for education and skill to help women and girls build their bright futures. These initiatives reflect our collective commitments to creating a community where every woman and girls feel valued, supported, and safety together.
The centers have the capacity to train about 1,000 women and girls in about 6 vocational skills within a period of 1 year.
Let's take you back to Borno State, where the Federal Ministry of Youth Development has resolved to promote youth inclusiveness and participation in governance and leadership across strata of the society for effective engagement and even development. Coming from the 7th Annual Council meeting held in Maiduguri, the state capital, the Minister and Commissioners of Youth Development have now agreed to work in synergy to identify and engage the youth meaningfully to serve as a springboard for employment and development.
It is the first meeting for the Minister of Youth Development and the first to be hosted by the Borno State government. The National Youth Council is the highest decision-making body of the ministry, and it comprises of the minister as the chairman, 36 state commissioners of youth as members, while the permanent secretary, Federal Ministry of Youth, serves as the secretary. The Maiduguri meeting started with technical sessions for participants from states, departments, agencies, and other stakeholders, with the official inauguration following closely. Speaking to Channels TV, he outlined some of the initiatives reached and to be implemented.
The major purpose for this is to say that, see, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has been doing wonderfully well to make sure, you can see the programs. The President mentioned the NET fund, let me break it down, which is the school loan, student loan, and academics, CNG, a lot of programs go to trust fund and all those programs that have been in place. There is no doubt about it that we have the formal youth, we have the informal youth. What are the purpose? How are we putting forward the formal youth, those youth that have no voice? The major purpose for Ministry of Youth Development should be empowering the youth.
Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum highlights initiatives his administration is implementing to engage youth.
In Borno State, we have implemented various initiatives aimed at empowering our youth, including the provision of vocational training skills programs, education, scholarships, distributions of Kekena, electric motor vehicles, establishing a mechanical village at Modai, and other entrepreneurship support. The youth population is an asset of a nation. Recent statistics show that 70% of the Nigerian population is under the age of 30. This is great potential as it translates to a larger productive economy in the near future, if well harnessed.
Participants speak on some of the resolutions reached.
The major take-home from Borno State, which I intend to share with my government, is the fact that, I noticed something about the state, which is very, very, unique. And that is the fact that Borno State has, instituted, their culture in almost every part of the town. And when you go around Borno State, you notice that you have that ancient city look still, in place. And, Calabar too is an ancient city being the first capital of Nigeria. But I think we need to begin to give attention to our ancestral edifice and our historical background to showcase our rich cultural heritage.
Delta State has a lot of bamboos, and I think collaborating with other parastatals, it will help our state in terms of development, employment, and the aspect of the youth.
The 5-day meeting ends with far-reaching resolutions to improve youth empowerment, participation and development across all spheres of life, including governance and leadership.
Now, to underscore the validity of the maxim that says prevention is better than cure, the Gombe State Office of the National Emergency Management Agency, in its desire to have a disaster-free Nigeria, is equipping critical segments of the society with firefighting skills. Well, NEMA has now collaborated with the State Fire Service to provide practical lectures and hands-on firefighting techniques to NYSC corps members, volunteers, and religious aid groups. According to available reports, no fewer than 54 markets and thousands of households were gutted by fire outbreaks between 2023 and 2024 in Nigeria, mostly from avoidable causes that gulp trillions of personal and taxpayers' money to fix. And as the Harmattan season kicks into the northeast, the Gombe State Office of the National Emergency Management Agency is arming National Youth Service Corps members, first aid groups, the Boys Brigade, and community emergency volunteers with hands-on skills to put out fires.
We achieve a lot of things because this sensitization we are doing, we do it quarterly. Every quarter of the year, we sensitize the general public. We involve the GEVCs, them to take it down to their immediate communities. So from there, you can see that the number of fire outbreaks have reduced. I mean, the number of emergencies have reduced to a minimum level. We are here to train them on basic skills on how to prevent fire outbreaks.
Trainers from the Gombe State Fire Service give step-by-step methods to put out small fires before they get out of hand. They also highlight how to avoid pitfalls that breed fires.
Like women, if they finish the cooking, they're supposed to put water on top of the fire to kill it all. Then like gas cooker, to switch off of the gas cooker. Then a part of electrical appliances that people they are using it, we don't like to overload it or to put any metal metal electrical appliances to put it on the local wires or something like this.
The trainees are grateful for the life-saving skills.
They showed a basic example of how to put out fire whenever we are faced with such challenges. Yeah, it will save me from a lot, especially when I have like a fire hazard at home, being that we use gas cookers to cook and there are electrical hazards. So you face like opposite direction from where the wind is blowing. So you spread out your blankets, then you put it over the fire for a few minutes, then you remove it so the fire will be out by then.
The thing is, I like the fact that two methods were taught, the blanket and the fire extinguisher and how to use it.
For religious aid groups, the training will save their places of worship and households.
What we understand now, we are going to teach our peoples, our families, our family members on how to prevent the fire outbreak, especially from the grassroots, as we have learned now that these cases normally used to happen at homes and to some extent at the farmland. But we have learned how to prevent it from the lecture we received from the fire service I'm sure this thing will help not only us, but we are going to use it to treat other people in our preaching areas, in our mosques, so that people will understand what we have learned now in this orientation.
This knowledge helped me so much. Before, I don't know how to use some other things like this blanket, but today I learned how to use it. But the message, how the message will reach churches by going to churches like the fire service, they will organize themselves to go to the church so that they will highlight people about how to use fire extinguisher and this blanket in times of something happen like fire outbreak in their various homes, working place, and some other places.
It is the expectation of the National Emergency Management Agency, Gombe State Office, that persons trained here will train other persons with their ecosystems till Gombe State becomes free of human-caused disasters and preventable losses. That report on fire and disaster management from Gombe State does it for us on this edition of Newsroom Series. Thanks indeed for watching. On behalf of the production team and everyone here, I'm Kelly. I'll see you again next time. Bye now.